Hi, Bernadette. Hi, Muriel. Hi, Joy. There's Bronwyn. Hello, Bronnie. Hello, beautiful hearts. Manuela. Hello.
Hello, sister.
Yes.
I changed computer, so maybe it's working. I hope.
Let's see. Let's test it. Yeah, I can make you an interpreter.
Wow, wonderful.
I don't think we need it tonight, do we?
I don't know. I told the students I just trained for the third level that they could
Okay.
join.
Well, if they come on, we've got everybody on now speaks English. But if they join us, we'll make you interpreter. But
Okay.
maybe you don't have to work. We'll see if they come on. Yeah. So I think we've got a couple of minutes so we can wait for everybody. How is everybody? Everybody good? Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Are you good?
Me, I'm good. Yeah. I'm good.
Behaving yourself?
Well, I don't know about that.
Probably not.
Yeah. You know. Hi, Sarah. Look at you.
Hey.
You've been out sunning yourself. You look
Yeah, I
so
have
healthy.
a little bit of a jog up the hill.
You look very
Been trying
healthy.
to get.
Very healthy.
Thank you. Yeah, getting some exercise.
Yeah, good girl.
Yeah, turning a corner.
That's good.
How's getting any exercise on that leg, or just really slowly?
Yeah, it's very slow at the moment. I've got
Buddies?
a little setback with lots of things happening with my foot because I did too much. So, so I've got to take a few steps back now to start again. So anyway.
Bit like life sometimes.
I know it is like that. It's definitely like that. So I'm just having to be a bit slower now because I was doing lots of things, thinking I could do all this stuff, but my foot was telling me I couldn't. So yeah. So anyway, it's all good. So just put me back a few weeks, but I'll get there.
You'll get there.
Yeah, I'm walking and I'm driving. So I'm doing all those things, but I'm not walking big distances and I can't dance and I can't run yet. So
How frustrating.
oh, it is. Yeah. So hi Susie, I just saw your head poke in then.
She was saying not yet.
Not yet for dancing and running. No. Well, I don't know about running, but dancing would be good. But
She was emphasizing the not yet.
not yet. Yes. I can stand on my toes though, so that's a good thing. I couldn't do that a while ago. So just getting everybody on.
Hey, Luce.
See
Hi,
anybody
everyone.
on that's French speaking, let me know, and then we'll transfer you into interpreter. But I haven't seen anybody yet, I don't think.
Hello.
Hi,
It's
Lucy.
been a long. Hello.
I haven't seen
It's
you
been
for so long.
a few hours, enough time to get me home.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Thank you so much for running these.
Thank you for coming. Hi, Venus. Hello, Bridget. Hello. Just wait and see if anyone else gets on. We're still, we're just 2 minutes in, and then we'll start. We have a very interesting family that we're going to look at. I won't tell you who it is. They're going to be anonymous. But we have a 3-member family who very kindly lent us their soul charts to look at. So that'll be interesting. I think what we're going to do each month is just show you that how, you can look at soul charts and how they can weave into people's lives and, how that works. And there's really very little limitation with what we can do with this. So, I mean, here we've looked at couples before, And that's always good because, you know, partners, husbands and wives, things like that. Now, today we're going to have a look at a mother and her 2 children and look at that. So, and how they interact together. But, you know, in the future, what we're going to have a look at is like the ancestral ray and perhaps how that, you know, where that sits, and you might have a look at a few charts to see what happens with the ancestral ray. We'll also have a look at the monad ray because that's really important. And we also might go back and have a look at the soul and the ego rays and how they work together, because that's also an important focus to have a look at that in people's charts and look on that. So we're going to do that. So don't know, we'll give them another couple of minutes. We will have a look at this and then we will be open to questions, so you can ask questions. And if there's anything you'd really love us to have a look at, maybe you've done a soul chart for someone recently and you've seen something or something's come up that you'd really like us to talk about, then don't be hesitant in letting us know, because we're very happy to look at anything that you might have discovered as well. Maybe you've got something to share about an experience you've had with doing them as well. So yeah, please let us know. So we're 5 minutes in, so we might get into it, because it may take a little bit of time and we'll probably want a little bit of sharing. So I'm going to share the chart. So just okay. And I'm just going to pull it out a bit. And right. Can everyone see that? Is that clear for everyone? Yep. Thanks, Sarah. Great. So what I've done, I've already done a little bit of the work, because when we're looking at a group chart like this, we always go and have a look and see where the similarities are. That's the first thing we're going to have a look at. So we're going to have a look. So I've color highlighted the similarities. So Ray 7 is really big in these charts. Family. Yeah. Just that, Joe, something you want to add? So
No,
Oh.
sorry.
that's all right. So Ray 7, as you can see, is quite prominent. Ray 5 is very prominent as well. Ray 5 and Ray 7, 2 very prominent consciousness and energies. And then Ray 3, which we will have a look at because it's important. Ray 4 is there as well. It's interesting. Well, I've got a really interesting correlation for the mother and the daughter, how 4 and 3 are reversed for mother and daughter. So we'll talk about perhaps why that is and what the gift is in that. So let's just have a look at let's have a look at Ray 7 first, because it's a big, it's got a big influence in this family. So it's in 2 egos. It's in the daughter's ancestral, which means she's playing that unresolved karma out in her ego. And it's interesting enough, it's in the soul of the son. So the son really wants the mission of Ray 7. That's what the soul here is very focused on. So I'm going to put some things forward, then I'm going to ask everyone what else they see. So firstly, we're going to have a look at Ray 7. So Ray 7 is in the ego of the mother and the daughter. So we have this whole Ray 7 energy of wanting to walk some sort of spiritual path, wanting to connect somewhere with spirit, because Ray 7 is all about that. You can't have a Ray 7 without that spiritual energy flowing. There is a desire for change or transformation which will be very big for the ego, very necessary for the ego, in both of their charts. So they've probably got a lot they can talk about. They probably get on very well in their egos. They can probably do, sit and talk for a long time. There's change. So you could talk about movement, travel. Maybe they go away on holidays together. Maybe they travel together. Maybe they like to change, so they might talk about change a lot, things that they're doing and changing, and get advice from each other. But you can see their egos have got a big connection through that desire to transform and to facilitate some sort of change. So being in the ego, it's probably much more on a physical level, on a world level, wanting to change things, wanting to improve on things, definitely wanting to walk some sort of, as I said, spiritual journey. Could be religious journey, could be spiritual journey. And it's so interesting because you now have the sun with this energy as their soul mission. So two things could happen here. The mother and daughter could be very good examples for the son, encouraging the son to come into their soul mission. Or the son could actually help the mother and daughter uplift their ego energy of the 7 into a more spiritual energy of the 7. So two things could happen there. And then we have 7 in the ancestral of the daughter. So there's some unresolved karma here. So of the 7 in the ancestral. When we see a 7 in the ancestral, it's saying that there's maybe the ancestral somewhere in the family. We don't know who or what, but somewhere in the family, there was a resistance for or a dislike of spiritual practice, religious practice. So there might have been, let's not go there. We want to be more pragmatic. We don't want to go into spirituality, or we don't want to go into any religion. And so there might have been a little bit of that going on. And also there might have been a bit of a fear of change in the ancestral. So that's affected the ego. So there could be, where the mother doesn't have that, the daughter may have a bit of that. So there could be a bit of resistance to change. There could be a little bit of resistance to spiritual work, not embracing it completely. And then it's just so interesting. Then the sun has that 7 there. So maybe that's, that when the sun comes into his 7 soul mission, maybe he really encourages the daughter to let go of all of that. You never know. And of course, the mother will support that because she's got that 7 there. So let's put it out to everyone. What else are you seeing with those 7s? Anything else we can see with those 7 placements in this family? Yes, Venus.
Ishtar,
Yeah.
is there a correlation between, I mean, obviously you've talked a bit about it, but between the 7 in the ego of the mother showing up in the ancestral of the daughter? So something that's unresolved for the mother has come through that ancestral line for the daughter.
I'd agree with you, Venus. If there was a 7 in the ancestral, perhaps of the mother, or if there was a 7 in the soul of the mother, perhaps, which is a good point you've raised, because perhaps it's the 7 of the son that's sitting in the ancestral as well. It might be related more to the son than the mother, because the mother's only got it in the ego. And we will have a look, because the mother does have 6 in the ancestral, which could be also affecting that 7, and we will have a look at that. But it's a good point you've raised. So the son's 7 in the soul could certainly be correlated to the 7 in the daughter's ancestral. Perhaps maybe in one of his past lives, he's had that effect on the ancestral line through his soul mission. The only thing, of course, in saying that raises our point is that 7 is an experience ray. So it doesn't hang around for long. but it could be there. We won't say it can't be. There's never anything to say can't, but it definitely could have an impact. So a good point raised there. Anything else with the sevens before we move on? Donna?
Maybe, hello. Maybe you mentioned this, but maybe with the sevens in the ego position, is that the mother and the daughter really do a lot of change, you know.
Yeah.
They're always changing and you know, change for the sake of change. And
Could be. Yep.
and then
could be
the
a lot of that.
son could be more the one that can help sort of almost ground the other aspect of that seven, from that when the soul comes through, from more sort of bringing in the change for a higher potential.
Yep.
Than just for the sake of it.
Definitely. Could be there. As we said earlier, you know, I mean, because they've both got seven in the ego, they're obviously going to have conversations which are going to be they're going to get on very well together, because they're going to have very similar conversations. They're going to talk to each other on a very similar level. And there could be more reticence, of course, with the daughter because of that ancestral seven playing out. So they may not have really deep spiritual conversations. There may be a little bit of, I'm not sure about that with the daughter. But yes, the change. And as I said, travel could also be a big influence. I'm going to have to let you know that I actually know who these people are. So I can say that with a bit of, I'm a bit positive about the travel side of it. But certainly change. Yeah, there's been a lot of change for both of them. Yeah. Anybody else before we move on?
I'm kind of intrigued as to how the fives for the mother and the daughter.
We haven't got to 5 yet.
Yeah, but I've got a feeling that they'd play along in the more metaphysical experience of the seven in the ego.
They could. Yep, they could. Mm-hmm. So let's have a look at the 3s and the 4 in both the mother, the daughter, and the son, because there's very interesting placements here. So the daughter's got the 4 in the soul mission. So the soul really wants to have the experience on the earth of a peaceful, harmonious life, wants to really enjoy nature, wants to really, if they do begin to follow the spiritual path, they'll probably want to do connect sometimes to their own healing, if not others. But certainly the soul wants to find that peace and harmony on the earth and be very connected to that. And then we have the mother's got it in reverse. So there would be unresolved karma there for the mother in the energy of the 4. So we could say that there could be a bit of drama in the mother's life, a bit of conflict in the mother's life, at times difficulty discovering her own place of peace and harmony on the earth in her life. So until that karma got resolved. So the soul's there supporting. So when I see this playing out, I see it playing out as a support, because the soul of the daughter is there helping the mother with her karma, and it's leading, you know, there is a support there. And so the same thing, of course, is playing out with the mother and the daughter with the 3. The mother's got the mastery of ray 3 coming in. The soul wants to come in, and it's a long-term ray. So mastery, the soul wants to come in and find its highest potential on the earth, which of course plays with that ray 4, because when there's drama and chaos or conflict and there's karma around that, then that higher potential is it's a struggle to reach that higher potential for the soul until that karma is resolved. So we could easily say that the daughter's soul has come to support the mother to resolve that karma. So her soul can really come into its highest potential. Yeah, there's a link there that's very strong. And then, of course, the mother's soul, which is Array 3, is helping the daughter to find her highest potential. So there's a lot of give and take here. There's a lot of sharing of energy and consciousness between the two. So very, very connected, these two. So you've got that Ray 3 reaching her highest potential, lots of creative ideas, very creative. The daughter would have that question of her creativity, would have her own doubts, whether she can do it, whether she can't do it, would struggle with following too many things, too many balls in the air, and the mother's soul would be guiding that and helping the daughter resolve that karma, encouraging her, saying, yes, you can do it, be positive about this, and, really, there's nothing that can stop you. So as you're seeing all of that, and then we have the Ray 3 in the sun's monad as well. So the mother's soul is there to help the sun to resolve that unresolved karma of the Ray 3. But notice the sun's got Ray 3 in the physical. So who can tell me what Ray 3 in the physical does? Joe, do you want to talk about Ray 3 in the physical?
Oh, busy bees.
Yeah.
Busy bees, often taking on too much.
Yeah.
And, it's about being the best at whatever they are trying to manifest in their physical reality.
Yeah.
And trying to success at it, which when you've got a monad 3, you're really going to experience at a physical level of your reality the karma of that 3
Right.
until you begin to lift it. So it can be, really quite challenging for a 3 to be experiencing the karma in their physical life, in their physical manifestations, creations. That can be hard. And it's, also about balancing. Actually, yeah, you're right. It's in the emotional, not the physical. It's in the emotional.
Sorry. Yes, I do apologize. So it's in the emotional. Very
It's in
true.
the emotional.
Yes. There you go. So
it's the emotions more than anything. When you're, I've got a 3 in the emotional and a 3 in the ancestral and a 3 in the soul. So I know that when I'm experiencing the karma that I've created through my ancestral line, through another incarnation, I can get really upset emotionally if I feel I'm not doing a good job at whatever it is that I'm trying to do. If I feel I'm not making reaching that higher potential, then it really affects the emotional well-being. So that unresolved karma really affecting our emotional body, which again, affects our relationships, because so much of that, especially through our intimate relationships, are very much through the emotional connection. So it'll show up there as well.
yeah. And that Ray 3 is, often in the emotional, because it's in the emotional. It's always hard because remember, it's the throat chakra, and it's not always easy to speak about our emotions when you've got a Ray 3 in that place as well. So it's about owning that emotional self, not able to communicate how we're feeling emotionally, or, sometimes not being able to do that, and trying to learn how to communicate our emotions through that Ray 3 energy, through the throat chakra, And always, because we've got a monad there of ray 3 where we doubt ourselves, where we try and do the very best we can, but we constantly have doubt of ourselves. We're not sure we're equipped to do it. We question ourselves. We question, our ability. And then, of course, having it in the emotional will mean that every time we question ourselves emotionally, that's going to make us feel less. So there's going to be that whole play out there. Now, interestingly enough, because the mother's got the 3 in the soul, that 3 in the soul could really support the son. Because the soul, even on an unconscious level, might be talking to him and supporting him on that. So there's that support that's come in. And I'm very sorry, you've got the 4 for the son in the physical.
Mm.
So we have the 4 that the daughter's soul mission and the mother's monad. So he's actually playing out the ray 4 in the physical. So I'm wondering what he was like as a young child. Whether he was, he's very much, whether he was really out in the natural world, whether he liked to play sport, whether he was on the earth a lot. Was he connecting a lot with nature? Was he loved animals, things like that? And when he got emotionally upset, did he throw a tantrum because of that ray 3 in his emotions? Maybe not, because he might have found it hard to express himself. Put it 4 in that emotional, and maybe he was a child that threw a lot of tantrums. I'd say he didn't as a child. He was probably out and about a lot, and he probably still likes to be out and about a lot in nature, in connecting. Which also brings a balance, doesn't it? It's so interesting that the mother's soul energy is bringing a balance to his emotional and his karmic energy. And yet his 4 and the physical is bringing a balance to his mother's monad and is helped along by the daughter's soul energy. It's a very connected family, isn't it? When you start to see this. I mean, you can understand why they're all together, why these souls have all come together. Anybody else want to add some more on those 3s and 4s?
Maybe the mother also can support the daughter and the son to manifest their ideas.
Yes, definitely. She might give them clearer focus, helping them to focus more and helping them to understand that they can reach their potential. They don't have to be limited.
And just noticing that 3 is the only mastery ray in all 3 of the charts. And we've also got 3 7s in the first 3 areas of the chart. But 7's an experience ray. So just thinking that the 3 of them are governed by the 3, but
the mastery of the 3. They do have 2s, the emotional 2s, and then there is an ancestral 2, but they're not in the main area. So where we're looking at it, you're quite right, Sarah. So they're very governed by this ray 3 as their mastery. All 3 of them to live their highest potential, to get clarity and focus. Very good pickup, Sarah. That's great. So as a family, that's a very important key for them, is that they're all here to reach their highest potential, to not be limited, to be creative in life, to work with that. And it's interesting because when you see the 7s being the spiritual number, the spiritual path, being that change artist, transformation and all of that, you know, that obviously is there to support them to come into that mastery, isn't it? Because when you've got those sevens, it helps you to open up to the mastery of the three, of being able to create, being able to see that you don't have to be limited. And don't forget that the seven is governed by the sacral chakra, which is the creation chakra. It's where all your creation energy comes from. So it's helping with that huge creation energy. So the seven helps to drive that. And it's also a governing meridian. So it's a very strong energy, the seven.
Yeah, what I'm noticing is that the mother and daughter, the 3 and 4 are reversed.
Yes.
But both daughter and son have a 3 in monads. So with a son having 3 in emotional as well, it must be very difficult for him
Yes.
to express himself. In fact, I think the mother is definitely a support for her 2 children here.
Yes, definitely. Yes. Very good, Bridget. Definitely. So you can see that playing out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So then let's look at the fives, because there's a lot of fives in this chart. And once again, the mother and the daughter are mirroring to each other the fives. So once again, as I said, their conversations together would be, you know, very similar. They'd get on really well because they'd mirror to each other. They would be lively conversations. They would be, you know, they'd be talking to each other and hearing each other, because they would be almost mirrors to each other with those fives. And they've also got the 2. We'll go to the 2 in a minute. And the interesting thing is here, you've got the 2 5s in the mental, and they've got the 2 5s in the physical, but the son's got the 5 in the ego. So in some way, he's able to communicate with them because he has that 5 in the ego. So he's, you know, because of the 5s in the mental, that makes them, you know, we've got the whole 5 energy of all the details, all the intellect, wanting to know things, finding out, seeking, until we move into the higher consciousness, but still seeking and moving into the higher consciousness. We have that curious, intelligent intellect, wanting to know the answers to things, wanting to find out things. So when they're having conversations, the 2 7s and the 5, it gives him access to them, doesn't it, on an intellectual level, having that 5 there. Because, I mean, if you put maybe the 2 there or you put the 4 there, it wouldn't be the same if he had a different number in his ego. But he's got the 5 there, so he can communicate on this very similar wavelength with them. It's the only 5 he's got. But it's interesting that it's been placed in the ego and not somewhere else. So it helps him to communicate with the mother and the daughter. So there would be a closeness with these 3. But certainly the mother and daughter, I mean, you know, they're almost mirrors of each other, and they're there to support each other. So the 5s help them to communicate on a mental level. It is that whole thing of wanting to know the answers, having a keen intellect, seeking the answers, asking why, being curious. And of course, that 7 is going to take that curiosity onto a spiritual level, isn't it? Because the 7's going to go, whoop, now you can take it on a spiritual path, because it'll take them there and they're seeking. And their ego going that way is going to help the son eventually come into his mission. And then you've got the 5 in the physical. So once again, in their physical, what they do on a physical level will often be around the mental, will often be around the intellect. Whereas the son prefers to be out in nature and maybe very sporty, maybe very earthy, doing all those sort of things. The mother and daughter have a really keen intellect again in the physical. So they both will have that objective and focus, even when they're working, even if they're working with the earth, it'll always be out of curiosity, out of intellect, wanting to know more, wanting to understand it more, wanting to have a deeper connection in some way, but always curious, because the 5s are always curious. Whereas the 4 wants the experience of the earth. He wants to roll in the mud, so to speak. Yeah. The 5s don't really want to roll in the mud. They want to know what's in the mud. Yeah. They much prefer to tell you what's in the mud rather than roll in it. That's the difference between the two. So they'll seek that out. Anyone else want to share about the 5s? Joe, you were talking about the 5s with the 7, helping that, raising that frequency, definitely. Yeah, and driving that connection to changing into the higher consciousness. Anyone else want to add to the physical and the mental 5s, the experience of 5 in those areas? I mean, 5 in the physical also will affect what sort of work they do. Their work will be probably much more either academic or intellectual, or where they're using their mind in some way.
But, you know, I can really see the 7 in their egos giving them a focus of what they want to learn.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You know, it's going to be curiosity about spirituality, curiosity about transformation, curiosity about the consciousness of 7.
Yeah. The daughter might have a little bit not quite as deep as the mother, because she's got the 7 in the ancestral, which is still playing out in her ego. So there could be some reticence there for her, and she might be much more following an intellect or academic point of view. Bernadette?
Yeah, I can see that the 5s in the physical and the 4 might not bring them very close, but the 2 7s in the ego will bring the closeness in the 4 of the physical of the sun.
Yeah.
So they'd still have that communication and feel comfortable together physically and in nature, thanks to the 7 and the 4.
And the 5, of course, in the ego of the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, which helped them immensely there too.
Yeah.
So it's interesting here. Let's go to the 2s. We have mother and daughter with 2 in the emotional, and then the son's got the 2 in the ancestral, which is so interesting, because his 2 isn't playing out anywhere else in his chart, but it's playing out in the mother and daughter's chart in the emotional. So we know the 2 in the ancestral will make him question his self-love, make him question his self-worth, make him question whether he's accepted, whether he's loved. But it's not playing out anywhere. But for some reason, it's playing out in the emotional bodies of the mother and the daughter. So I'm wondering how that works. And if I had the 3 of them here, we'd be talking to them about the 2 in the emotional means that they really want to have a deep emotional connection with other people. You know, that 2 wants to go deep. It's never a surface thing. It's always wants to go deep. So emotionally, they want to be accepted, liked, loved by others. It's very important to them on an emotional level. Now, because it's very much that heart energy, really wanting to connect deeply from a heart place for their emotions. It's so important to them, which of course helps them and drives them on their 7 ego to spirit. Then the the mental and the physical, maybe asking questions about that, because it's a little bit different to their intellect. So it's balancing out that mental intellect. But then there's the 2 in the son's ancestral. And I'm wondering, and we can only wonder as we ask them, whether he feels, whether it's playing out in the mother and daughter, his 2, his karmic 2 is playing out there, whether the mother and daughter might be busy seeking acceptance and love from each other or from others. And somewhere along the line for him, he feels left out. I'm just putting that out there, that he might be feeling a little bit left out. Which
Especially as
go, Sarah. Yeah.
especially as their charts are such mirrors and they've got the same ego ray.
Yes.
There's lots of simpatico with the 5s and the 7s, and you can see how he's going to ground their he's going to understand them with his 5 in the ego.
Yes.
And he's going to be a balm, like a support with his 7 in the soul, to because that's in their ego, to move towards the 3, the soul 3 of the mother. And maybe his ancestral 2 is being shown because they've both got the emotional 2.
Yeah.
So they're together in that emotional world, and he's not really part of it because he's got that ego 5, and his soul's okay with change and transformation, is wanting that. Okay, that's still processing.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look at come back, because based on what I'm saying and what you're saying, he's got that 3 in his monad, which is the unresolved karma of being able to be creative and, can I reach my highest potential? Can I do this? Am I good enough to do this? Will it work for me? All of those things. I have to prove myself. And that 3 is playing out in his emotional. And when I see that, and then I see that 2 and the 2 in the mother and daughter's emotional, I'm wondering whether he's feeling, because of that, he's feeling that he's not fully supported to reach his highest potential. That 3 is playing out, it'll be playing out the unresolved karma of the 3 that's sitting in his monad for sure. But that 2, that's making him feel a bit left out with the mother and the daughter emotionally, he might then feel a bit unsupported with that 3.
I think probably yes, when everything is good. But what I'm wondering, what if the mother and daughter emotionally, they are feeling that they need support and so on, and they don't have it, and he's feeling not loved.
Yeah.
But I think because when he sees that playing out in the women, shall I say, I think he could be a support, in fact, because of his 7. I think he will experience both, being left out, and when it's playing out too much in the women, he will be a support to them, I think, because of his 7. And at the same time, being a support to them, he helps resolve his ancestral.
Very good point, Bridget. The only thing is he has to come into his 7. Remember, it's the soul.
Yeah, he has to come into his 7.
So
exactly.
it depends on what age he is and where he's at.
Yeah, exactly.
He may not be in his 7 yet. So yeah. And yes, good point to raise. So he may have to go through that mastery of the 3, because remember 3's master.
Yeah.
So he may have to go through that emotional mastery. We'll talk about something else that'll help him with that in a minute. Yes, Bernadette.
Going back just a step was the 3 in emotional for him, and for the mother and daughter, the 2. His 3 being echoed with his 7 in the soul and the 4 in the physical. he might also feel misunderstood,
Yes, definitely.
which would bring out even more a sense of isolation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially, and that would be echoed in the monad with his 3.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Now, anyone else for the minute before we move on to something else?
Yeah, just the mother and daughter with the 2 and the emotional, and you were saying the 2 is always wanting to go deep, and he's not as supported to go deep in those conversations that they're having with their shared ego 7, and he's got the Ray 3 monad, so he's maybe a bit blocked to express, and the 1's going to be there too. Yeah, so he's not able to go so deep, not so accessible for the mother and daughter to reach him, and he wants it.
That's right, which could make him feel a bit isolated, a bit left out, not quite, he may be a bit of a loner. He's that Ray 3 in the emotions, can create us to be a bit of a loner. Remember, the Ray 3, often doing it all on our own. We often become a loner with Ray 3. We're not co-creating. So that could be happening. And then you've got the Ray 1. He's got the Ray 1 in the mental, and he's the only one in the family that's got that strong Ray 1. So what's that going to do, that Ray 1?
Yeah, it's going to give him.
He's going. Sorry, Joe.
No, it's all good. He's going to have a very strong mind, strong will through his mind, and be very clear about, what he thinks he needs, wants, how things should be. I was just curious before, though, is it possible that his 5 in his ego, depending on how old he is, obviously, but how developed his 5 is, gives him a little bit more potential for being curious and connecting into conversations with the emotional 2 through being open and curious and wanting to understand.
Yeah.
And that might offer an in, so to speak, for connecting to the mother and the daughter when they're going a bit deeper. He'll come in a little bit more intellectually, but he'll still have the curiosity to want to engage.
Yeah.
And that might offer him a bridge into a connection.
Definitely. I think that, that Ray 1 and his mental and the Ray 5 and his ego is going to give him a very strong mind. And it's going to, it could easily just keep him a bit trapped in the detail of everything, the lower mind more than the higher mind for the moment. Early on, maybe, as he develops, depends. What happens?
And a little bit more cold. A little bit more cold, not so warm like the 2s like to be.
Yeah.
All kind of, sometimes a bit, more heart-centered. He's going to want the sort of less fuzziness and more sort of directness.
Yes. Which will, of course, make him feel at times when he's with his mum and daughter and his sister that they may feel that he's a little bit aloof or very much on his own and a loner, and they're not reaching out to him. But underneath all of that could be very much someone that, that does want them to reach out, but doesn't quite know how to speak it. So they might see him as being a little bit of a loner and aloof, very strong-minded, not as soft and fuzzy as they are. Not fuzzy, but, not as kind-hearted and all of those sort of things, that gentle self. And he might seem to be a bit stronger and in himself and that, and they may not see that there's a part of him that really wants to be approved of and to be accepted, and they may not be able to see that. But we're always, remember, when you're doing a chart, we're talking about timelines, so we don't know where they are with this. We'd have to sit down and ask them. I mean, he could have been like that when he was young. As he's grown up, that could have changed. We don't know because of their life experiences. We can only say the possibilities that are there until we actually sat and spoke with them. Bernadette, you had your hand up?
I did. I took it down because I was going to say more or less the same as you, that the one in the mental, if it comes across very strong, it would be to support his insecurities, but also hide the insecurities.
Yes.
And if it's too strong and hiding too well, then not serve him in that sense. And also might become a blockage to communication.
Definitely. Yeah, it can
So
be.
that would be definitely something to really focus on, is that one
Yeah.
there.
And it would be good for the mother and daughter, but the mother to know that maybe they need to reach out a little bit more, that he might need a little bit more of that. Sarah, you were going to offer something. I'm sorry we interrupted you.
That's okay. It's been said.
Oh, okay.
Can I just go back to something Bernadette said before? Just share with me how you're seeing the link of, you mentioned the mother-daughter 7 in the ego can be a link with his 4 and offer connection between 7 and 4. How do you see that in his physical and their ego?
Because the 7 likes to travel, and that's that connection to the world, and therefore also to Mother Earth. And it's that connection of spirituality also, when we are seeking that spiritual and the ego putting forward that spirituality, so therefore being connected to Mother Nature and awareness that the flow of creation is in everything, then that would speak to the Sun's ray 4, who would be very connected to Mother Nature in his 4 way.
Got you. Okay. Going through the spirituality of Mother Earth to connect to their the ego. Got you.
Definitely could be that, especially when mother and daughter hold quite strong 4s there. So, they could all weave in to this. Yeah. Yeah. And then we have the 6 in the ancestral for the mother, which doesn't appear anywhere else. But I'm going to say to you, the 6 often affects the 2, and we do have 2. So the 6 and the 2, that's that wanting, that sense of the divine spirit. We've got that in the ancestral, which could come up for spiritual drive, where somewhere in the family line, they were very idealistic. They had strong views, somebody in the family, and didn't really probably believe in religion too much, were a bit agnostic maybe. And then, of course, the daughter's got that 7, which plays out a bit as well, against that spiritual leaning. So there could be a whole story there. And then we've got a 2. So the son's got the 2. So there could be an old ancestral family story against spirituality or against religion, strong outspoken ideals, maybe not supportive or loving, maybe just very strong. There might be something sitting there that is sitting in the ancestral that comes out of those 3 rays. So it might be affecting them at another level, just the whole 3 of them, because there could be that story just running through the ancestral of lack of divinity, lack of acceptance of a spiritual self, lack of acceptance of religion, lack of acceptance of the spiritual, fear of change, not wanting change, being very dogmatic maybe, very stuck in idealism, and maybe not able to show their emotions or their feelings through the ray 2. So all of that consciousness could be running through their combined ancestral lineage, which could then affect them, as we can see, through their emotional and through their ego and through their soul. Because there's a little story running with that. Anything else we want to add?
I noticed that all their ancestral rays are different though, and I was wondering about if they're in a bloodline together and they've incarnated as a family, as immediate family. Do you sometimes see the ancestral ray being the same through an immediate family group, or is
It
that
could be, especially if it's affecting them all in the same area of their lives. Definitely, yes. But here we've got they're not the same, but definitely there could be a bit of a theme running through with this. Yeah. There definitely could be a bit of a theme running through the ancestral, where there could be several members of family creating a little bit of a theme about not accepting religion, spirituality, being very dogmatic, maybe being very idealistic about their beliefs, outspoken, and maybe not being able to be emotionally there for people. So that can, that might be affecting their whole family on several levels. And so that could have been introduced by several people in their family lineage.
right? Makes me think about people that are adopted or people that have families that don't stay together, and also that the modern nuclear family is relatively small compared to the larger family groups that might have had grandparents and parents living together, and where aunties and uncles and cousins are close together, and you can see more ancestral interweavings than we do with our immediate family. But also if it's all a soul contract, then even if we're not related, some of the people that come into our lives can bring their ancestral to affect us.
Well, we haven't got a husband in the mix here, so that could certainly throw a spanner in the works somewhere. We haven't got the husband. We've only got the mother and the children. But the husband was around for a while, but then there was a divorce. So, we could put the husband in, but we haven't done that. Yeah. So there is somebody in the room that actually knows this family. I'm wondering if they want to talk about this or not. But if they do, great, talk about whether they feel that it's been helpful or doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll comment. It's a lot to take on board. There are a couple of other family members, another son and another daughter, but we don't have their soul charts. It is very interesting, all of it, and the way we actually fit together. I'm trying to remember everything that was just said. My son definitely, he's Ray 4 in the physical. He grew up very grounded to Mother Earth as a young child, loved crystals. He still walks around with no shoes on his feet, always out, out and about, loves nature, worked in the environment for quite some time. He, with his Ray 3 and his monad, he's just about to turn 31 next week. He has always doubted himself and his ability to do anything, whether he really knows what he knows. He has come into the last probably 6 months into very much his creativity and testing that creativity, but still challenging himself, I suppose, with his ability of that creativity. Does he really have that creativity to take it where he needs to? And that definitely, me as a mother and a Ray 3, I support him all the way. With the Ray 2 in his ancestral line is, yeah, he grew up sort of like emotionally not feeling connected to the family. That was brought about by my ex-husband, so he always felt like he was a little bit of an outsider or a bit different. He, over the years, has come into understanding that and has worked on that particular area. With my daughter in the Ray 7 in the ancestral line, she sits on the fence as far as spirituality is concerned. She knows it's there, but doesn't want to play in that game yet or in that field. But she says, you know, I know, Mum, you know this stuff. So she'll ask me, but then she, you know, sits back on the fence again and doesn't take it anywhere. My 6 in the ancestral line, yes, I grew up with a family that was very opinionated, not spiritual, not religious, very opinionated on people that followed a religion, or if they were, you couldn't be emotional around them or share anything emotionally. So that sort of did play out quite a bit, and I feel that a lot of that I've actually resolved. The support that I can see the support where my soul's supporting my children and vice versa. They are actually teaching me things. My daughter, where she's supporting in the Ray 4 in my monad, you know, we will talk about a lot of things with that Ray 7. We travel a lot together. We love nature. We're curious about everything. When we're traveling, we like to find out lots of stuff about history and where, you know, things come from, but we love being in nature and sharing that together. The same with my son. He loves to be out in nature with us as well. The whole 3 of us are pretty silly together, so we play, and especially my son and my daughter, they play, even in their 30s, play silly games together, be stupid, and enjoy that fun side of it. So yeah, physically and mentally, I can see where, well, mentally with my son, he's driven. He's very much can be in the mind, and but emotionally, he's not confident in getting that potential that he's got there and believing in that potential. That's all I can think about for the moment. It's pretty big. I have to re-listen to it all.
That's all right. Well, it's being recorded, Roman, so you can listen again. Play it for the kids. But,
yeah, I will.
Yeah. But so that's a great, you know, confirmation of what we've just discovered looking at this chart, isn't it? So, you know, it encourages you to not only do couples, but to do family charts and have a look, because you can see very clearly why this family is together. These 3 people have come together. They're very connected. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if they've shared several lifetimes together. You know, they've come in and out together. And it's so important to honor that and to see, you know, if you're curious about the work of the soul chart, you can begin to see there is so much opportunity here to expand what you're doing with the soul charts, and have a look at it, and have a look at your own family, and have a look at other people's families, or, you know, have a look at couples and just see. And you can tell, I mean, when you're doing couples charts, you can tell immediately whether that couple's meant to be together or not together, whether they're really aligned or not. And you can see very clearly here that this family is really supportive, and obviously these 3 souls are very supportive of each other. So it's and how it all weaves together. Obviously mother and daughter, I would say, have definitely done several lifetimes together, so they're very connected. The sun, yes, but maybe not as many together, but still all connected somewhere within this. So allow your curiosity to take you into other places with the soul charts. Yeah, just experiment and have a look and see where it takes you and get your confirmation from the people you're working with. Yes, Bridget.
I have a question. Let's say I have a client who's interested in her soul mission and wants to discuss, the numbers. Is it okay if, for example, she brought me a photo of her son and daughter, that I do numbers with that or not?
No.
Because the son and daughter would have to agree.
Yeah, you have to get the son and daughter to agree, and you need them to get their numbers. So not for
Yes.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
The problem with that is you need permission, and there could be the mother's agenda there and your consciousness. So you actually need them. It's not going to work doing it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good
thank you.
question. Very good question, Bridget. But the family might be interested, so it's a good one to do. But yeah, thank you for that question. It was very good. Yeah. Anybody else have questions? No. Well, Bronwyn, thank you very much for sharing this with us. It's been very enlightening, and I hope it's helped you.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for sharing and all the input. I will share it with these two and see what they have to say, especially my daughter with her race 7 in the ancestral.
Yeah, there you go. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. And be curious and go out and just experience doing a few different soul charts and have a look and see what comes up. But once again, don't forget to go back to the person and talk to them and ask them questions and get the confirmation, because as I said, there's a big difference between somebody who's 5 or 10 years of age and somebody who's 30 years of age. So, because they've had different experiences. So you need to discover where they're at on the timeline. But you can be general, but then when you want to pin it down a bit more, find out a bit more about the person and talk to them about, where they're at in life today. Because what you might be reading is where they were at when they were 10 or when they were 20. But today they've moved on. So, you can then give them an idea of where their potential of where they can go. So it's a very interesting thing for them to do. And ego soul, it's very interesting to look at those two things too with people. Joe, would you like to add anything here?
No, I think it's been a great opportunity to have a look at the family dynamics.
Yes.
And what plays out. And thank you so much, Bron, because also then hearing your feedback as being the mother really pulls it all together for us. So thank you for that.
I mean, I can see a few people here. Bernadette, it'd be great to do you with your girls at some stage. Lucy, the same with your girls. And Harnal, it'd be lovely to do you with your sisters.
And Sarah, I think Sarah's got her whole family.
Yeah, we could do it with Sarah and her children and stuff, and have a look at that and just see how the different dynamics play out. So we're always happy to do that. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you, everybody, for a very insightful, and we've all learned something today, I hope. So thank you all very, very much for being with us. And if you've got anything you'd like us to look at, please let us know. Okay? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bronwyn.
See ya.
Thanks, Bron. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.